All right, let's unmute Fanatic, and thank you for waiting, Fanatic. We should be able to hear you now. How you doing? Pretty good. You're really, really faint, so maybe we can bump your level up a little bit. But maybe you turn up your volume, or maybe fix your mic, or I can barely hear you.
Oh man. Yeah,
Oh,
so there's this problem.
There we go.
Yeah. What ends up
Okay.
happening is whenever I'm talking on third party like things, they end up kind of controlling my audio, and I don't know how to stop it from.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Keep going down a bit.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, I bumped you to like 240%, so hopefully that should work. You sound a lot better. Okay. So thanks for waiting. So can I get your age and then what pronouns you'd like us to use for you?
I'm 41 years old and my pronouns are normal. I DM'd you actually on Instagram. I wanted to be able to. I was asking if you would be willing to have a conversation, kind of in a different format. I know that like in these type of formats, typically, they're kind of meant for like short form content in which you might not feel the same type of patience because you know that like, oh, there's only a little limited amount of time. There's only 30 minutes before someone might remove you, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So I wanted to know if you'd be willing to do that in another venue, possibly in Discord on another day.
Okay.
I want to have the conversation right now with you, but I'm wondering if you'd be able to do that in the future.
Can you lower his volume?
Yeah,
please?
I'm working on it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to get to the window. So, thanks for the $1 super chat, Paul's imaginary friend. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we can have the conversation now. I do want to make sure it's relevant to the topic, you know, because I want to stick very closely to it. Okay, well then that's not a problem. Okay, now I just got to know which God you believe in. I'm
a Christian biblical fundamentalist.
Okay.
All right. To be fair though, Trust, he did say his pronouns were normal. I don't know. You know,
oh yeah. I got sidetracked. Okay, what does that mean? Because for some people, normal is they, them, we, us, our, it's. So which pronouns?
It's crazy. Leftists always get caught up on this kind of stuff. Man, normal just means what's typical, what's normative, what's expected, what's the usual, what's the most common. That's what normal is. And I'm a male. So then the most common,
males, there's some males who use
outliers of 1%.
Okay, so is that
they're
they,
not
them?
normal? That's not the normal.
Is it they, them? Is it we, us, our? Is it he, she, it?
Be honest.
Okay,
you know
so
what they are.
Which pronouns do you want us to use? All right.
Whatever you like, bro.
She, her. Sounds good. Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
All right, she, her. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Anyway, so what's your evidence that God is not evil?
I found the question a little bit difficult because I mean, to prove God is not something is like proving a negative. And it's not that you can never prove a negative, but it's really difficult to prove a negative. It's kind of, and there's only certain situations where you can prove a negative. Even if I like dissipate every idea in my mind that would be a negative, then you might have some other argument that is still a negative. And so then me proving.
Do you not have any evidence then? Because we can just move on to the next guest. I don't really want to discuss what, because this isn't the topic. I told you I want to stick to the topic. You said that's the topic. Sure. So if you want to critique, well, that's fine. You can critique my question, but that's my question. You can have your own live. You can post about it and say, yeah, see, Trust says like stupid questions and I don't get this. And you can do that all day, just not on my time, not on my live. Do you have evidence that he's not evil, or do you not have evidence that he's evil?
I mean, I guess the best evidence that I have that he's not evil, I mean, just like kind of, I would say for the most part, I just think that God is good. And I think you can see that God is good by the fact that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got a random chat from somebody. But yeah, like I honestly, I think that God is good. And I think that the evidence that God is good is the fact that he sent his son to be a redemption for us, and that he was able to, end up developing and restoring a relationship between us and him, and the good that he does in having a relationship with him. From my own personal experience, me knowing God, who God is, clearly like shows me that he's good, just in the way that he's made me and the way that the miracles that he's done in my life.
So you're saying that he exemplifies goodness because he sent his son to be crucified?
Sure. Yeah. I would say that is evidence of
that's evidence of goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
And now so if he sent his son to be crucified, Are you saying then that it's morally good to, if I sent my son into a situation where I know he would be unalived, that would be morally right thing to do? If it results in a greater good?
It wouldn't be right for you to do
Why not?
necessarily. It was right for God to do in that circumstance.
Why is it right
The
for God?
circumstances are widely different.
What's
because
what's
in
the
God's
difference?
situation, because for God it was a necessary component in order for him to restore his relationship with man. And because of the holiness of God and his inability to abide sin, he needed to be able to send a sacrifice in that regard. And he created a way for man to be able to connect with him.
Okay.
And then the ultimate sacrifice ended up being his son. I think the sacrifices from the beginning were like a sort of a foreshadowing, if you will, of what the ultimate sacrifice would be. Which would
when
be
God created everything, did God know that he would have to sacrifice his son at some point?
I don't think that God's omniscience works in the way that people typically say. I believe that
does he have perfect knowledge?
Yes, but let me explain.
He has perfect knowledge. Okay.
Yep.
But he doesn't
if you
know
allow me to
things?
explain, it'll make sense. If you allow me to explain, it'll make sense. So what I'm saying is that it's a way of imagining it is like a pachinko machine. So you can, or I don't know, just some sort of thing where there are multiple choices, and then you can see the entire map of all of those choices as they're going to go. So like, right, you have one binary choice here, and then you have one binary choice here, and then one more binary choice here. Right. And so then from there, you know that there are 8 possible outcomes, and I can identify and recognize all of the 8 possible outcomes. Now, I might not know which one you might choose, because as I created humans, right, I know that they have free will. So they have the ability to choose either of these dichotomies, either of this binary. But I know what the outcome is for both of those binaries.
Okay.
So then I know what I know the future. I know it'll be one of these two things.
Okay. So omni means all, and then science means knowing, right? All knowing. Mm-hmm. That means you know all. So how do you know all yet not know all?
Well, as I just explained, you know all of the possible outcomes. So you know all of them.
That's a contradiction. You should know all of the outcomes because you know all. That's what omniscience means.
Well, I'm sorry. What I did was define to you.
I know you're making your own definition. Yeah.
Yes, I did. No, I'm not making my own definition. What I'm defining to you.
Let's go look up the definition.
Sure. What I'm defining to you is my interpretation of the definition and its application in a way that is still consistent with all knowing. Because if there are only 2 possibilities, and I know both of those possibilities, then in that case, I do know all. However, I might not know which of the 2 is going to happen. But I think, again, it's a very rudimentary and elementary way of looking at omniscience, so as to create some sort of, to create some sort of incompatibility.
Okay.
But in reality, the way that I'm explaining it makes perfect sense. And it's still compatible with the definition.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make perfect sense. So the definition of omniscient is, this is the Merriam-Webster dictionary, having infinite awareness, understanding, and insight. So infinite means unlimited, right? Mm-hmm. Unlimited, without limit. Okay. So then that would mean then God would have the knowledge of what choice or what outcome would be on the pachinko machine. He would know, because that would be infinite knowledge.
According to your interpretation,
I'm using the dictionary, but I mean,
I know, and I'm using the dictionary too. And here, so I got you. So let me do what you just did. Let me do what you just did.
Yeah.
Merriam-Webster, having infinite awareness, understanding, and insight.
Exactly.
So here we go. Let's look. So let's look at what insight provides. I know that my insight is telling me that there are only 2 potential outcomes.
What does
my
infinite
understanding mean? Hold on. Let me.
What does?
If you'll let me.
No, so I just need you. I need you to answer my question and ask me. No. I asked you. What does infinite mean?
Sure. I was answering the first thing that you asked before we got there.
No, I simply asked what infinite means.
You asked that in the middle of me already talking.
Yeah.
Can I finish what I was saying first?
Well, no, I just need you to answer what infinite means.
So you don't actually want a real conversation. Sure, I'll go ahead and go down that rabbit hole. Let me look at the exact definition of infinite, since you obviously want the denotation.
Dude, it's insufferable, bro.
Yeah.
I know, I get it. It's insufferable when people start interrupting instead of having a genuine conversation from the very beginning. Anyway, infinite, immeasurably or inconceivably great or extensive, extending indefinitely, subject to no limitation or
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Okay.
Subject to no limitation or external determination.
No limitation.
Extending beyond, lying beyond, or being greater than any pre-assigned finite value, however large. That one obviously would greatly apply. Extending to infinity, characterized by an infinite number of elements or terms.
Okay.
So those are all of
extending to infinity, unlimited, without limit. And so what you just described, so help me out here. How is not knowing all the outcomes unlimited?
Again, I think there's within reason, because of the fact that people have free will, and in order for us to have free will, he can't know all of those outcomes. If he already knows the outcomes, then we don't have the will to make those outcomes. Those two things would be incompatible.
Okay.
If God is truly all-knowing and we have free will, then that already creates a paradox. Right?
I'm not sure how this answers my question.
It doesn't. It was word salad.
I am. No, it's not.
So I'm asking, how does infinite mean not knowing the outcome?
Every time I go to answer your question, you interrupt me in the middle of me answering your question and say I'm not answering your question. All right,
you can cry somewhere else, but I'm trying to clarify.
I got you. I'm just telling you what's happening. So I'll try again. Again.
So how does infinite mean limited outcome, or not knowing the outcome?
Sure. So again, the only thing, there is a limit, and the limit stops at where our free will is, right? And so in the fact that we have free will, because of that, then he has a limit in the ability of knowing what we would do, because if he knew what we would do, we would not have free will. So instead, what he does have is the knowledge of all of the outcomes given any free will choice that we would make. And therefore, he is able to know the future. However, that some of the future is still being determined by us and our free will. So the future is being shaped by us, but God is aware of the future that will be shaped by us and can intervene at his choice.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that unlimited means he's limited by our free will. That's what you just said.
Sure. What I'm saying is, and again, I got you.
That is a contradiction, sir, or ma'am. Sorry,
I understand.
That's a contradiction.
I got you, and it is a contradiction, which is why I said specifically that I wasn't using the definition that you chose, which was limitless. That wasn't it, or without limits.
That's not what I said.
Well,
no, that's what you said. You said
I'm sorry, no.
was without
you said
limits.
subject to no limitation or external determination. That was one of the definitions.
Yeah.
But there's also number 4, which is extending beyond, lying beyond, or being greater than any pre-assigned finite value, however large. So when you look
beyond
at
finite value, you know what that means when it's beyond
value, however large.
Yeah, do you know what beyond finite value means?
Beyond any pre-assigned finite value.
What she's saying is that words don't mean words. That's what she's saying, chat.
So now we're getting into a semantic argument, which is okay. You can do that.
Well, no, I'm using the dictionary definitions.
Working definition of
I'm getting into the dictionary definitions.
Application of infinite that you stopped me at because you wanted to immediately get into the word infinite because you were uncomfortable with me defining something. That's your choice. But again, I was trying to define it.
All right.
Omni is a superlative word. It is a superlative word. It has a superlative definition. So anything less than omni is almost omni, nearly omni, but not omni.
Yeah. Omni means no exceptions. All. No exceptions. And you just carved out an exception for free will. That's a contradiction.
I think that God is omniscient, and I think that the application of that omniscient is
nearly
omniscient.
No, you don't think he's omniscient. You think he's not all knowing.
Again, you can get him. You can be semantic all you want.
So let me ask you a question. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Because you know what contradictions are, right? What's a contradiction?
Of course. It's two positions that are logically untenable.
Okay. So you're saying that because what you're telling us is that omniscient doesn't mean omniscient. Omniscient means everything except this, when omni means all, which means including everything. So this is you tantamount saying to us that squared circles exist. Do squared circles exist?
Of course not. But here's the definition that I'm using: possessed of universal or complete knowledge.
Yeah,
and that's universal, what I'm referring to.
Okay, so if
what I'm saying is he has
complete knowledge
of all outcomes.
Okay.
Of all of the potential outcomes.
Okay, hang on, ma'am. So what you're saying is if he has all outcomes, but he doesn't know the outcome.
But he knows all potential.
Does he know? But does he know the outcome?
He knows all potential. He does not know.
No. Yes or no? Does he know?
I answered your question. I'm answering your question. He does not know the outcome. He knows.
Then he doesn't
all
know
potential outcomes.
Then he doesn't know everything. He doesn't know all.
He has complete.
It's that
does
simple.
Okay, so to answer this question,
Okay.
Does he have complete knowledge?
Okay, I'm not going to argue this point anymore.
I got you. I know you're not really trying to argue.
Well,
you're just
the reason.
over me.
Well, no,
So
the reason why.
Knowledge of all potential outcomes.
Okay, I just muted you, so we're all right. You're muted, so. Okay, so yeah, this is okay. This is just words mean words. That's all this is. So
yeah,
if I say to you, fanatic that I want you to bring all the apples, what do I mean by all the apples? Okay, you're unmuted now.
You say you want me to bring all of the apples. I would imagine that you want me to bring all of a given set of apples.
All of the apples, right?
No, all of a given set of apples. I chose my words intentionally.
All of the given set of apples, in which?
All of a given set of apples.
All of a given set of apples. Okay.
Yeah.
So so you're saying then it only talks about a given set.
Well, when you're using the word all in that situation, it obviously has to be constrained. You wouldn't be foolish enough to be asking me a dumb question like, does that mean I should be bringing all of the apples from the entire state or all of the examples in existence? No. When you're using the word all, there's obviously typically constraints on what all applies to, and it could be a given set, like I just did with the word knowledge.
Okay. So if I tell you to bring me an infinite number of apples, how many apples do you bring?
If you told me to, I probably wouldn't bring any because it's a foolish request because I couldn't do that.
All right. Kick poll has been requested and started. Okay. So but you're saying it would be foolish for me to ask that. So why would it be
I can't
foolish?
do that. I'm limited, obviously.
Why would it be?
I'm a limited man.
Why would it be foolish? Because you're a limited man, right? So, and why is that? Because if infinite doesn't mean all, why would you have a problem with bringing me infinite apples? Okay, polls have started.
Infinite definitely doesn't just mean all. Infinite means extending beyond all, right? All finite, all known. That's what infinite typically means. But in this case, but in this case, right, if you're asking a limited person to do something outside of their actual capacity, because we are finite and limited, then it would just be a foolish request. So I wouldn't know how to answer that question. I wouldn't know how to fulfill that request.
Got it.
And so I wouldn't even attempt.
Yeah, because it means unlimited, right? Without limit. And you said we are finite beings, so I can't fulfill that request because I'm a finite being. I can't give you something unlimited when I'm a finite being.
Yeah. So when you yes, in the application of infinite, if you told me to bring you infinite of a specific object like apples, then it would mean just infinite. It would mean just forever occurring, forever. It's not realistic. It's not in our capacity. It wouldn't make any sense.
Right. Okay. But yet God's knowledge is infinite, yet not all encompassing. Doesn't go on forever.
Sure. So it's crazy because I don't know. It's almost like you're making a parallel between a finite
fanatic,
man.
They have voted you off,
God.
so we're going to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you coming up.
I check your DMs. Don't.
All right.
You just cooked her.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to start it on the YouTube side, but